On 300 of these islands, there are magical rock labyrinths, trojaporjar, circular with an inner winding pathway that people have walked through the ages to gain their blessings. I left early this summer morning to catch the mists for their atmosphere, but the sun rose above the horizon just as I reached my destination, and the mists, so thick near the mainland, had already fled. It was nice to be out on the water alone while everyone else seemed asleep and the day just begun. I used to come here with my family as a kid. We brought our ducklings and bathed in the pools on the smooth cliffs. Before walking the labyrinth, I first had to put rocks back in place and remove trash as visitors had vandalized this monument the day prior. There are rocks on a cliff right next to it for people that want to make their own pattern in a new labyrinth, so I cannot see why anyone would mess with the original. But this labyrinth has more visitors than some others, such as this one further out in the archipelago. It has a slightly different pattern. Instead of walking to the middle, then returning the same way, you walk the whole way through without turning back and still exit where you entered. Even though labyrinths can have different patterns, they usually only have one path compared to the walled mazes with branching paths, and their purpose is more spiritual, magical, and meditative. Their use varying depending on culture, time, and place. They have existed for thousands of years and in many parts of the world, and were often sacred places used for magical rituals. Sweden have possibly the largest amount of old walkable labyrinths, and Finland across the sea have more than 100 labyrinths they call maiden dances. Couples might have walked them together for a happy marriage, and a maiden could sit in the middle while others danced to her through the labyrinth, or a man walked to her, careful not to touch the rocks. But even though they have been used for fun and games, marriage and fertility rituals, most of the Scandinavian labyrinths are located near old fishing settlements and waterways, and were likely used to gain fair winds, a safe voyage and good catch, and they may have helped with navigation. They mostly date back as far as the Middle Ages, and though it is difficult to know for sure, the oldest labyrinths might be from the Bronze Age, a time when Scandinavia, with its long history of boat building and seafaring that culminated with the Viking Age 1,000 years ago, flourished as we traded amber, the gold of the north, for metals along the Amber Road, with distant countries like Mycenaean Greece and Minoan Crete were the most famous of labyrinths. That of the feared minotaur, half man, half bull, was said to exist beneath the great palace of Knossos, whose ruins I visited a few years ago, seeing splendid art that portrays the unique culture of its advanced civilization. Paintings of the Minoan sport of jumping over bulls in the vast maze-like palace, along with a labyrinthine ritual dance performed by priestesses to invoke the Minoan mother goddess of Crete, might well have inspired the myth of the Minotaur and the Labyrinth, which also was maze-like to keep the humanoid beast and the prisoners of King Minos trapped inside. Very different from the Swedish labyrinths with their single pathways, yet ancient Cretan coins portrayed the Minoan labyrinth as either square or circular, with a pattern identical to this one. So the classical labyrinth pattern might rather portray an ancient dance, and the coins could have spread it across the world through trade and travels. It can also have sprung from the minds of people across the world independently, a universal symbol of the mysteries of life. The Nordic amber of the Bronze Age also found its way to the necks of the pharaohs of Egypt, where the greatest of labyrinths existed. A massive mortuary temple that was preserved for much longer than the Cretan labyrinth it might have inspired. Herodotus and other Greek historians witnessed the awe-inspiring complex firsthand at Amenemhet III's pyramid in Hawara, and described its extraordinary size and beauty as beyond words. Even then, it was at least 1,000 years old, well-maintained and more impressive than all the Greek temples combined. It surpassed even the pyramids. Centuries later, in medieval times, when the Crusades made traveling to Jerusalem very dangerous, European cathedrals contained labyrinths as a means for people to instead walk a symbolic pilgrimage to the Holy Land, as they represent the inner path.
There are goats there. I've seen their poo, but now I've seen the goats for the first time.
The labyrinths were a journey for the soul, a walk of reflection and cleansing, and so they are still today. Many walk or dance them now to center themselves, to quiet their mind and find clarity, as a form of walking meditation or prayer. The labyrinths may grant us protection and luck, give insight or provide entertainment. They always have something to offer, and they draw people in despite their simplicity, almost as if by magic.